Hello and welcome to the Indigenous Studies and Indigenous Mentorship question and answer period as part of Indigenous Student Experience Days. My name is Allison. We'll be introducing ourselves over the next little bit and letting you know a bit about the Indigenous Studies Department, Indigenous Mentorship, and the Undergraduate Student Research Experience program as well. Hopefully I got that right, Merle, but you can correct me when you do your intro. So welcome to everybody who's visiting today, and I'll pass it over to Dr. Wheeler.
Hi there, I'm Jocelyn. I am currently a student advisor with the College of Arts and Science in the Undergraduate Student Office, but I'm also alumni of the Indigenous Studies Department. I graduated this June with a Bachelor of Arts Honors in Indigenous Studies, as well as a certificate in Indigenous Governance and Politics. Allison?
Hi, again, I'm Allison Pichet. I am the manager of the Saskatchewan Indigenous Mentorship Network. I'm a settler originally from Belleville, Ontario, here on Wendat, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee territory. And I moved to Saskatoon in 2010 to do my master's degree in Indigenous Studies, which I completed in 2015. So that's a little bit about me.
And I'm up next. My name is Merle Massey. I'm the coordinator of undergraduate research initiatives here at the U of S. And I grew up north of Prince Albert here in Saskatchewan. I'm a settler and very grateful to be here on Treaty 6 territory, which is where I live now, but I grew up on Treaty 6 adhesion territory north of PA. And I was very lucky to study about that when I did my PhD. And yeah, I'll move on to the next slide. And I think, Winona, you get to talk next.
Right. So Indigenous Studies has been at the University of Saskatchewan since 1983 as a discipline, as a field of studies that emerged in the late 1960s, predominantly because there was next to no Indigenous content in any university.
Proper for me to cover what degrees we offer through the department. So we offer bachelor's degrees, and we also offer some minors and double honors, as well as some certificates. So we offer a Bachelor of Arts 4-year with a major in Indigenous Studies. We offer a Bachelor of Arts 3-year with a major in Indigenous Studies, as well as an honors degree in Indigenous Studies. And an honors degree is just mostly aimed towards people who are pursuing graduate studies at some point in their academic career. And then you can also double major in Indigenous Studies and another discipline of your choice. So if you want to sort of concentrate your studies in 2 places, you're well within your right to do that. As well, if you are a major in another subject, you can also minor in Indigenous Studies. And not included on this page, there's also the certificates. We have a partnership with the Political Studies Department. That is the Indigenous Governance and Politics certificate. As well, there is a Indigenous Storytelling certificate through the Department of English as well.
Thank you, Jocelyn. So the kind of courses we offer, of course, we offer history courses, we offer contemporary issues courses. We've got a growing Cree language program, which is really awesome. We've got immersion as well. We offer courses specifically on traditional knowledge and cultural preservation, but also traditional knowledge and cultural preservation kind of permeates almost all the courses. We've got courses on social and community development, a lot of courses on gender issues, livelihood, politics, self-determination, law, social movements, environmental and disaster risk management and reduction. and research methods and theories. So one of our students, Lindsay Knight, and the other one is an Indigenous Studies course that we developed in collaboration with two other universities, one in North Carolina and one in Melbourne, Australia. And it's called Remembering Resistance. And so this was supposed to happen last summer, but then COVID kind of cut us off. For the next slide, please, Merle. These are some posters of some of the other courses that we had. For example, we've got Aboriginal Food Sovereignty course. We've got North American Indigenous Gangs, comparison of Canada and the US. We've got a course on colonization and decolonization. We've got Indigenous Oral Histories research classes. We've got critical survey of history of Indigenous child welfare. And we got weaving Indigenous science and Western science. So these are just a sample of some of the really cool courses that we offer in Indigenous studies. And you can either specialize in social and community development, you can specialize in history, language, culture, you can specialize in politics and governance. So there's streams, there's lots of course in each of those areas that you can take to expand your knowledge and understanding. And then the other courses on methods and theory provide you with a really strong skill set.
So what can you do with an Indigenous Studies degree? Class with a friend, being Métis. I just sort of took it to be in class with that friend, and I ended up doing my entire degree in Indigenous Studies. Just because I felt like that's just where my heart was. So then once you get there, you're like, well, what can I do exactly with this degree? And there's tons that you can do. Here's a list of things, but it's definitely not limited to that. I mean, I'm an academic advisor with an Indigenous Studies degree. But you can do things like being a community educator, you can be a researcher, policy advisor, you can be a youth worker, corrections officer. If you're looking at returning to your community, you could be a band manager, a First Nations chief. As well, like in my plans, I'm sure at some point in my life, I'll be involved with Métis politics, just because that's who I am. You can be a journalist, you can be a liaison officer. Like there's so many different things that you can do with a degree in Indigenous Studies. And you can even continue your studies. So a lot of our graduates will go on to pursue graduate studies either in Indigenous Studies or other fields, or pursue other professional colleges like education and law. There's a lot of Indigenous Studies students who go on to go into the College of Law.
One of the fun things we do in Indigenous Studies, of course, is research. Okay, it's nerdy fun. I love doing research. And so every one of the professors you're going to have in Indigenous Studies courses are very active, looking for all sorts of ways of helping our communities get stronger, fighting political battles. I'm personally a land claims researcher, and so a lot of my research has to do with land and working with elders and oral history. When we do our research projects, we usually get grants, we hire students to be research assistants, and then we go to conferences. So if you look at this photograph on your left-hand side there, it's the NASA, Native American Indigenous Studies Association annual conference that we had two summers ago in New Zealand. And almost the entire department, faculty went, and a whole bunch of our students went as well to present their findings of their research. So we get to travel the conferences as part of our research. We also sample, 2 summers ago, I took 5 students to Melbourne, Australia for 2 weeks, and we went to the University of Swinburne, along with our partner from North Carolina University at Pembroke. And we spent 2 weeks in Melbourne, Australia, We participated in a lot of local community events. And what we were looking for is the similarities between their historical experiences under colonialism to some of the things that we're going through. And so it was a really awesome course for our students to meet Aboriginal people in Australia, Lummi people from North Carolina, and to grow and develop and share knowledge with each other. So we try to do that. We do these study abroad courses, we do our research and travel, and we try to give our students as wide an experience as absolutely possible. If we can't take our students, we'll bring our experiences into the classroom. So it's really exciting. It's never quiet and static. There's always something going on. Thank you.
Thanks. A little bit about the Saskatchewan Indigenous Mentorship Network. So our home is at the University of Saskatchewan, but we're actually a provincial network. And so we work with students also at University of Regina and First Nations University, and a little bit at some of the colleges in the province as well. So very broadly speaking, we're a network of students, faculty, and staff who are studying in the also broadly understood areas of health, wellness, and community-based research. And so this includes Indigenous studies. It also includes law, education, public health, pharmacy, medicine, kinesiology, like anything that is, somewhat related to health and wellness, and really thinking about it from a holistic perspective. So that's a little bit about who we are as the Mentorship Network. And maybe next slide. Thanks. And so more about what we do. So one thing specific to undergraduate students or students considering, their studies and research and possible careers in research, we have kind of two pools of funding for undergraduate students. One is our summer studentship program. And so we have funding to support student involvement in research projects. So maybe you meet a faculty member or taking a course with a professor and are interested in learning more from them and working with them. We have funding to support your employment in their work or in community-based research as well. And so we can usually fund 3 to 4 students at least a year to do some of that work. And then though COVID is kind of like putting a bit of a damper on any travel that's possible right now, we do have travel awards for undergraduate students, and they're distance-based. So we know that traveling to New Zealand, as Dr. Wheeler was talking about, is a lot more expensive than traveling, elsewhere in the province, unless you're going super far north, in which case you might need more resources in order to do that. So they're distance-based awards. And the one kind of stipulations that you have to have been invited to present, whether it's at a conference, in a community, as part of a study abroad course. And so we have funded students to participate in some study abroad opportunities, as well as conferences and community presentations. And I will also say that during COVID, it's not a workaround so much, but if you are presenting at an online conference and there's a registration fee, we have funding to cover the registration costs. Obviously, those are a lot less than traveling, but that's one option for attending conferences during COVID. Next slide, please. And then some of our events, activities, and mentorship. So we do webinars throughout the year, bringing in faculty experts, community members to speak about different skills or opportunities that are available. So one is around, building your academic CV and how to do that. We've had Inspire come and talk about process for applying for their funding, being involved in their mentorship program, and all of those are available on our website. We also host a student symposia and an annual gathering annually. And so we invite students who've participated in some of our undergraduate summer studentships to come and share their research and meet one another, and then participate in other workshops that we host during that time. And they're often more interactive activities that we do at those events as well. And we try and rotate our events throughout the province and cover the cost of travel for students to come, depending on where we're hosting those events. We also have one-on-one mentorship opportunities. So if you'd like to connect with an Indigenous faculty member, whether, you know, it's at the U of S or elsewhere, we can help to facilitate those. And then of course, research opportunities, as I mentioned before. So lots of chances to learn about research, to get funded to be able to participate in that. And I think Merle will be speaking a little bit more to different undergraduate research opportunities as well. So I'll pass it to you, Merle.
I will, but I just wanted so this, I've received an email just within the past week from the School of Environment and Sustainability lauding the great work that Allison is doing with the Indigenous Mentorship Network. And so I just wanted to reinforce that to connect with everybody else. But yes, so my name is Merle Massey, and coordinator for undergraduate research at University of Saskatchewan, but that it has an automatic time built in, and it's not exactly coordinated with our conversation. And so I apologize for going back and forth. But one of the things that we tell students is that going to university isn't just about learning the knowledge that already exists. That's part of it. That's certainly part of what you do. You take classes and you learn about, you know, what other people have learned, and you study it, and you pull that into yourself. But one of the other skills that we also develop at the university level is that we teach students how to build new knowledge, new inquiry, new art, new drama for yourself, and how to push those boundaries of knowledge. And so that's really what undergraduate research is all about, is about learning not just what somebody else has found out, but also learning the skill set so that you can build new knowledge. And so those are the programs that I run at and so the who's going to teach that class might decide that they want to insert a research project right at the first year level. And what we do is that we make sure that you're not doing this by yourself. We don't just dump you into a class and say, okay, now you get to do research. We match each of those classes with a senior graduate student or a senior undergraduate student, and they become the research coach. And so they work with the students to help you through your first research experience and walk you through all the steps. And it's, you know, how to develop a good question, how to investigate that question, and how to share what you found with other people, not just the professor, but other and maybe the general public. This is helpful. It gives you lots of confidence about your ability to create research, create new knowledge that didn't exist before, and you get really good engagement with the course. You gains your students who take a first year research experience class tell me with no reservation that their confidence rises. So that's one of the reasons why we continue to do it. So there are a number of courses across campus, particularly geography, political studies, women's and gender studies, but there are others. And there have been classes in Indigenous studies which have been fire classes as well. So teaching those skills right at the first year level, so that as you move up through the system and take those more intense courses at the third and the fourth year level, you have a lot more confidence. So that's one of the programs that I work on. Another one is for more senior students at the university, or students who really like this idea of not just taking in and memorizing somebody else's knowledge, but learning the skill sets to develop your own knowledge, your own research project. Maybe you want to do research on your home community, and you want to find out the skills on how to do that. And so what I have is SURE. So the Student Undergraduate Research Experience, it's a co-curricular program, which means it's going to show up on your transcript. So it's an approved co-curricular record. But what we do is that we have a whole bunch of web seminars, training events, and these sorts of things that help you with your research skill development. And they can be through the library, they can be through safety services, they can be through ethics, they can be through professional development as well. So all kinds of courses and webinars and events, training events that are included in this. And we also always have a symposium, usually 2 a year, but we're looking to up it to 3, so that students can showcase their work, showcase what they're working on. They might be working with a faculty member, maybe they've they've got a summer research job working with a faculty member on a project. Maybe they've got an individual project that they've got some funding for. Maybe it's a project that they're doing at work, but it's research related and they want to showcase it at the university. That's also allowed as well. And so that's another program that I run just to help students to really, really focus on their skill set. That they need when they want to create really work for New Artists Innovation Institute, which sounds really highfalutin, but they're actually in Saskatoon, and they receive all their funding from the mining community in Saskatchewan. And so this is designed specifically for Indigenous. We had a huge mentorship component, but when COVID hit, we had to put that on hold by request of Saskatoon Tribal Council. But we have been able to continue with our summer internships. We had 7 summer internships last summer. 5 were on campus and 2 were with industry. This summer, it's a flip. We've got 5 with industry and 2 on campus. And this is about students Indigenous women who are interested in STEM, and they might be working with a mining company such as Cameco, or they might be working with the Canadian Light Source. There are 2 students working at Canadian Light Source this summer. And so this program is a bit of a connector piece to take Indigenous women who are interested in STEM and want to have a summer internship and connecting them with a business that would love to have them. It's also, Mentorship was just a 2-year pilot. It will come to an end here in 2021 after the summer internships, but it has led to 2 new programs at the University of Saskatchewan. So MyTax is a big national program, and they have developed the INDRA, so the Indigenous Students Research Assistantship, and USask is a pilot. So we have 4 MyTax INDRA awards that are going forward this summer. Again, that summer internship kind of thing. And the Office of the Vice President Indigenous Engagement at the University, Vice Provost Indigenous Engagement, pardon me, Jackie Ottman's office at the university is developing BIRM, the Building Intercultural Resilience Mentorship program, and that's for high school students in Saskatoon. It's a mentorship program with university students and high school students, and that's very much built very similar to our MentorStep model. So it's sometimes when you have a program, it's not that the program itself is going to continue, but sometimes it sparks other things that are sometimes even better and fit things even better. So that's something that's happened with MentorStep, and that's what I wanted to tell you guys about today. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. I got one more question, Merle. What does STEM stand for?
It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math.
Right on.
But one of the things about MentorStep is that we actually have, so one of our projects that's going forward this summer, she's actually in political studies, but because her particular project is around Indigenous women and the mining industry in northern Saskatchewan, it qualified for a MentorStep funding for this summer. And she actually also won a MyTax INDRA for this project that she's putting together. And so it's interesting how, we try and play nice in the sandbox and support each other, but even though the MentorStep program is designed by the mining community to support Indigenous mining jobs in communities are very plentiful. They're very well paying, and so the mining community recognize that they have this gap that they want to help to address and to support Indigenous women to continue their STEM programs and to continue their science and technology and engineering and math disciplines, but also to see themselves and to find a place for themselves in the mining industry, which is one of the largest employers across Canada, particularly for Indigenous communities.
Thank you. So this is who we are. You can visit us online, Department of Indigenous Studies, Saskatchewan Indigenous Mentorship Network, and the Undergraduate Research Initiative. Ekshamaga.